doing it live. All right. Ready?
Yep.
Set, go. Hello, and welcome to episode 5 of Don't Forget to Save. We're back, Alex. We're finally back.
We're back, yes, definitely.
Yes, it's been a bit of a little hiatus. Life got in the way, work got in the way, but, you know, work, that's life. That's what we do. That's
back.
humans. So we're back to discuss more life in gamings. Alex, anything
In
to
gamings.
in gamings, life in games. Have anything special happened to you that's not gaming? Do you want to talk about?
What's been happening? Work and more work. Venus being better has been amazing. We've been enjoying her nice and healthy again. She's sleeping right next to me here.
Yes. Scratching herself stupid, but other than that, yes.
You know, just going through stuff, and we're back. It's so good to be back, actually, and recording again.
Yes, it is. Nothing really special happened to me except I was working from home for 3 weeks, so I got to do a different role in my life, in my job, which was nice. I spent time working for a country hospital as opposed to a city hospital, and it's completely different. And I can't say any more because I'm not allowed to. But it was a good experience, and I'm excited to potentially and hopefully win that job full-time one day. Before we carry on with the episode, I would like to give a shout out to someone I've just met for another podcast group I'm with. And we've been speaking on and off for a while now, since I joined that podcast, and his name is Jared McQuaig from Canada. He has joined our Patreon and is donating money towards us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. He said he always wants to support his friends and their endeavours in the creative world and stuff like that. So it's been very nice to receive that, and I said straight away that I didn't expect any money from any of the people I speak to from the other podcasts. So I'm not doing this podcast didn't join that group to plug my own podcast. I can do that on another Facebook group
or Instagram,
or in Instagram or any other social media. I didn't have to do it for people I know, but we're very thankful. We do appreciate it. And I believe he followed you on Instagram, Alex.
He did, yes. And thank you so much. Again, we did not expect anything from this, so thank you for your support, and
yes.
It's very kind of you.
We need to get around to adding some things to it.
Yes, we do.
So don't forget to follow us on Instagram, join our Facebook group, and if you wish to discuss the episode's topics, and Alex and I will reply back when we can.
Yes, and thank you for people who have been following, because I have noticed that it's been we've been getting followers it's been growing. So thank you as well for the people that are actually following and that are listening as well. I am still getting a lot of inboxes with people saying that it's really cool, and so thank you everybody.
Definitely. And links will be in the show notes to find all our social media websites and links. So thank you so much, and let's get on with the episode. Last Friday, the 18th of November, Pokémon Scarlet and Violet dropped in everyone's hot little hands.
It definitely did drop.
It did drop, and there's drops where we won't talk about just yet. And we both have been playing it. We both bought the double pack and expected us to go pick it up at 8 a.m. at EB Games in the city, and then we just made a decision to get the midnight release digital copies, and we've been playing ever since.
Yep, so both physical and digital.
Which I feel like a lot of other people did, because Pokemon has sold 10 million copies.
Over 10 million, yes.
Over 10 million in 3 days. It was 10 million.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest Switch game launch ever, the biggest Pokemon game launch ever. It's smashing records, and it's quite, impressive.
It's interesting.
Interesting and impressive. It's impressive, I feel. And there's probably no given to why. There's no reason as to why it sold 10 million besides the leaks coming out at the right time hyped it up for everyone. The general Pokemon fans loved the game. Japan alone sold 4 million in 3 days. So anyone who is a Pokemon fan will be getting it in the first day of release. So that is the biggest chunk of sales. So the 10 million is huge, because you look at God of War as an example. They only sold
It sold 5.1 million
Yeah.
in its first week, which is still a huge feat. It's one of the biggest launches as well for PlayStation, so it is still amazing.
For a home console, that's amazing, and that's what I'm saying. Like, this Nintendo Switch is obviously not just a home console; it's a mobile console, and you can take it anywhere with you. So it's adaptable for kids. They can all play it as well, and that's what Pokemon is. This one's a lot more kid friendly. So there's lots of reasons as to why it sold that much. Sorry. So it's very exciting to be a Pokemon fan at this point in time, and we have been Pokemon fans from the start. And I want to, put a disclaimer here. This has been the most fun I've had with a Pokemon game, except since Arceus, in a very, very long time. And so it's the most fun I've had with a mainline Pokemon game. And yeah, Alex, you said you had a lot to tell me today. You finished the game.
Yes.
I'm up to the last part of the story, so I'll get through it soon. And you've also done the Pokedex, and you've had people comment going, wow, you did that quick, and all this kind of stuff. So fire away with your thoughts.
So I've played for about 65 hours now, in the last week since it's been out. To begin with, before I start getting into all the stuff that I want to sort of talk about, I love Pokemon. I've been playing since I came to Australia, since I was 10 years old. It helped me with English. It was something that was so interesting for both me and, my brother played as well when I was growing up. We never were able to sort of afford a lot when it came to gaming, but it was one of the things that we always asked for. So I'm a huge fan. I've been playing them since I was very young. These games, to begin with, are fun. I agree with you. They're a lot of fun. There is lots to do.
There's lots of fun to be had.
Yes, definitely. I think the ideas were there. It's a first open world Pokemon game. Open world for Game Freak, anyway.
Because Arceus was open, but open areas like Xenoblade was, which is probably why it ran better.
So it was very cut. So you were given a big area, but it was sort of cut into what they did with the wild areas in Sword and Shield. So they gave you an area, but it was then cut, and then there you had a linear path, but this is open. So I'll first start off with the scores. So this has been reviewing very average. It has a 77 on Metacritic, 76, I believe, now. There's been a lot of backlash when it's come to the performance. A lot of people have, not the reviewers, but people who unfortunately don't understand gaming creation and graphics and FPS, which is frames per second. So reviewers have basically said that the Switch console is not to blame. It was really interesting.
There was this huge debate that, the Pokemon game can't run on this dated console.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. I mean, last night I was watching a video with our roommate, Des, where this YouTuber was showing a Breath of the Wild comparison to this game, and the textures, the way the game looks, the way the game was built, is just ridiculous. I mean, the money aspect... This is in
Zelda, of course, yeah?
Yes. So Zelda is a 5-year-old game now, I would say, 4 or 5-year-old game.
It's been out since the Switch.
It's
been out since the Switch.
Yeah.
It was a launch title.
Yeah, it was a launch title, and it's the reason why the Switch has done well, I believe. I don't think the Switch would have sold as well to begin with if it wasn't for Zelda.
I wouldn't have picked it up.
No.
It was embarrassing for me, but it was my first Zelda game.
Yeah. But in saying that, now you like that.
I love the franchise now because of that, and I've gone back to other ones and I love them too. So,
but I think what's happened with this game, unfortunately, time constraint. So they've released multiple Pokemon games in the last 2-3 years. So they've done multiple mainline titles. They didn't work on Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, but it's just it really shows. I mean, the textures are just
At times there is a lot of bad textures. I've had the worst example is I've had my mountainsides do wavy stuff on the camera. I'm not sure about you. I'm not sure if you saw that because you're blind as a bat. So
yeah, I have definitely have missed those, but I think what I've seen is, so I've had a lot of pop in. That's definitely. I mean, when you fly into an area, there is so much pop in. The Pokemon, you are constantly hitting the Pokemon on your, because in this game you have a ride where you ride everywhere at the beginning, which I've never done before.
Which is, mate, that was really cool how that was introduced. I like that. I have no qualms with the story actually.
Well, what story there was there?
That's the most ambitious they've done. I have no qualms with the story because it was just a fun experience. But the Pokemon themselves, you were saying that, like, that is one thing I really disliked, that they were so tiny. So every time you would walk on your ride or drive on your ride, whatever it was, you would just knock into a Pokemon if you weren't looking and encounter them. And then you have to deal with that because they're like minuscule size compared to you, but you know.
And I think, so that was one of the issues. Also, popping in and out of battles at times is really frustrating, because what happens is, unfortunately, they've not had a very good control of the AI. Pokemon, they gravitate towards you so much that there's times where you get stuck because you have 4 or 5 of them just continuously being stuck around you. And
like the Tauros.
like the Tauros, yeah.
Tauros charges in and then you leave the battle and you get stuck into a battle with another Tauros.
But I think the biggest issue for me is the FPS. I mean, you look at, like, there's videos out there where people have recorded the further away they get from certain objects that are moving, they get so slow that there is one video where the person is saying that it's going below.
It's 1 frame per second.
Yeah, I mean, it's
like
just...
the windmill in the distance moves like a frame per second.
Yeah.
And it just is so jarring to look at. So I've had to train myself while playing this game to forget that so I can enjoy the game.
And we're talking about one of the richest gaming companies in the world.
Game Freak isn't. Pokemon is the richest franchise.
The franchise, sorry, my apologies.
Game Freak is a team of 170 people.
Yeah, but we're talking about some of the big... in 3 days, they've made over like $600 million.
US.
US. I mean, that's crazy. Nobody is doing that. And we're talking about 3 days. So we not even talking about 2-3 years down the track in this life cycle. We've got Christmas coming up.
Yep.
Which is going to be huge for this game.
It's going to boost again. Obviously, this game was brought at the right time for Black Friday sales in America. So then that they can sell the games at cheaper price, and then that's going to be even more sales. But all sorts of stuff came into play with this game release.
Yeah, but just even like if you look at the mountain textures, they're just rough. It doesn't look polished. No. It doesn't look... I feel like this game also wasn't tested. I think this was done in crunch.
If you look at the credits, it had 3 people as part of the debug team. That's pretty atrocious, to be honest.
That's atrocious. And for people who don't know what crunch is, this is something that happens a lot in the gaming industry, where people work beyond their hours to finish a game so then it can meet its marketing deadline, which it happens a lot. This is not the only company that it happens to.
All the AAA games do it.
It's happened a lot, and there's so many stories about it. Go Google it. There's so much happening in this industry. If you're really not interested in, say, gaming, but you're interested in marketing and looking at how things
human
work,
rights
and human rights, go and Google this stuff, because it's really interesting, and it kind of shows that this industry is actually really built on just
almost slave labor.
Just like your average person that goes to a 9-to-5 job. It's just that they get being exploited. And you think about it, in 3 days, this game has made $600 million USD.
Yep.
And you're paying this person an average
wage,
if they're lucky, wage for what they're doing. And then on top of that, you're making them work ridiculous hours to meet this deadline that
which Game Freak could basically ask Pokemon for more money to make the games, because Pokemon is $1 billion company. They could definitely get more. They can probably get double their staff if they go, we can't make these games in this time.
Also,
but there's also other crunch lines with Pokemon. They've got the trading card game. They've got other merch. They've got so much more than any other gaming company does. So they have to get this game done. All the Pokemon designed, all the game done. So no wonder they will never do voice acting.
One of the other things, definitely. And also one of the things that really, really, really annoyed me as well, this is that a lot of the stores you can't go into. So
it's literally window shopping. You can go and open the door, but then you go into a menu screen.
Yeah,
I hated that.
That felt lazy and cheap. It felt like that was one of the things they had to cut because there was no time.
You can't even go into other people's homes. Like, there's a whole apartment complex area in Lavencia City. You can't even go inside there and talk to people who are living there because it's a brand new apartment thing. You can't even get to experience that. So the world of Paldea is pretty much empty.
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely,
really is.
There is definitely settlements of what could have been, and there is some places you can go into, and they look fantastic. Like, one of the gym leaders, he is a person that, like, enjoys food, and you go into his, like, sort of, like, battle area, and there's, like, a literal battle area inside, and there's all these people, like, having food. That was fantastic. That was really something that I really was like, wow, this is cool. Like, this is what every single place should have been like when you walked inside.
Yeah, not like the wild areas need to be more, because I think where the Pokemon were and everything, that was fine. That's okay to be open, sparse, all that kind of stuff. But when you're in townships, they were technically their own maps, their own areas, so they could have built upon them so much more. Obviously, time constraints, they didn't, so they just decided to make these wanky little stores fronts that you just open up a menu in that. They had other carts as well outside that you can go into shops. It was very, to talk about lazy, they didn't even have customization for your fashion. You're just literally in your school uniform and that's it.
And you can get yourself, like,
socks,
a bag, socks, shoes, and
glasses, and a helmet or a hat. Yeah,
it's lazy work. And one thing that I really have to say, and I really wanted to mention this was really important to me when we're discussing about Pokemon today. People who have been posting things like, we love our little broken game, we love you. I'm sorry, but you should not like a broken game. If we're going to talk about money and things you're going to spend your money on, I think you'd want to deserve the best. Like, if you're going to go and spend, $70, $80, whatever you're paying in your region, you want that product to be good. We'll talk about some of the games that we're playing at the moment as well a bit later. I'm playing God of War as well. Now, that was money well spent. Just talking, that game is literally, I know it's a different console and it's a complete different genre, but these people took the time, so when you paid that money, you got something out of it. But to hashtag we love our broken little game, I think, and those people that are on my Instagram, like, they've been posting that, you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. You're giving, you're letting these, like, you can buy a game and you can enjoy it, and we both have. There's a lot of things we're going to talk about that are positive, but to give a company praise for sending out a broken game, I mean, that's
no one praised
delusion.
No one praised Cyberpunk and CD Projekt Red. They pretty much were on, like, risk of, like, facing, wasn't they weren't risk of facing bankruptcy of this game, were they?
There was rumors about it, but they lost a lot because there was a lot of refunds, which is also what's happening to this game right now.
Apparently there's people who've requested and then they asked for their refunds, but I don't think that is as large as people make it out. They're on a social media. They're a large majority on the social media, but they're not actually a majority at all. They're a vocal minority that ask for a refund.
People are posting their receipts of their refunds,
but it's not as large as I think as other people are making it out to be. Like, we bought 4 copies.
We did, and again,
technically it was 3 sales.
But I think with everything in life, you can like something. It's like, you can like a board game that you really enjoy, but there's certain parts of the board game you go, okay, this stuff could have been better, or I was expecting a little bit more. This is just like with anything. Or sport, I really like this sport, but I don't like this rule in the sport. This is what this is. It's
like that in Digimon. It's in Digimon. There's certain things we don't like about the card game, but we still play it.
It's criticism, but I think.
But how do you give criticism? You actually have to experience it to give it.
Yeah.
So of course, me buying it doesn't absolve me. I can't give criticism because I bought it. Well, actually, I can. I can give criticism on things that I've bought because then I've actually experienced them.
And can we talk about that Pokemon League? I mean, what was that?
I mean, the one I just finished.
I mean, that was.
Oh, it was corporate. It was lazy. Cold. There was nothing. It was the music for it was the most laziest thing I've ever heard in my life. I don't understand why they chose those people. There was literally no people of color. for that, even though they have like two people of color as the Time and Rhyme. They're both sisters. The Rhyme is the gym leader, the rapping gym leader, and then her sister works in the school. Like Paldea is supposed to Paldea is supposed to be a multicultural. So it's from Spain and Portugal, and it's literally looking whitewashed.
Which is a real disappointment.
Which is okay, like whatever. Like maybe I don't know enough about Spain and Portugal, but I would have liked to have seen more color and like more people of color, because your choices of color at the beginning, you can't even choose. Like I saw a lot of people going, "Oh, in Arceus, I could actually look at someone. I could look like my character could look like me, and this is a person who's African American." And then it's like, oh, and then they've got this game. This is the darkest I can get, and it's like not as dark as they wish. And if people want that, then you should put that in your games.
And also, that's not difficult. That's actually
like it's just it's literally a shade of color.
Yeah, and that's again we're talking about this. But one of the things that really annoyed me about the Pokemon League was you are in one room.
Yeah, the old Pokemon League, you would go. Each of the Elite Four would have their own room. It would be designed about them as an Elite Four trainer. Like the ghost ones in the past, they would have ghosty things in the background. There was better mechanics in a 3DS game than this one.
I mean,
it's scary.
And scary, and I do understand that a lot of the new fans that are coming through have only maybe started from Sword and Shield. So their expectation of a game is very maybe low, because look, the old games are expensive. I've recently been buying a lot of 3DS games. Thank goodness that we were always smart enough to buy 2 copies of a Pokemon game, so we had them. But young people who are now maybe trying to get into retro collecting, or who are trying to get those games, they're expensive, so maybe they can't experience them.
Don't say Pokemon and 3DS are retro, please, because that just makes me feel older than I need to be.
I know, it's becoming retro crazy, isn't it?
It is.
But that was one of the things that really disappointed me. Pokemon League is one of my favorite things, and
we can't even redo it. The gyms were fine, I feel. I really don't care about the little tasks beforehand. I just sped through them.
Do you remember any of the gym leaders that you actually...
Yeah.
There's a lot of gym leaders that I look back and now, like people like Misty or
Brock. The old gym leaders? There's so many, like...
You know,
There's so many from Johto that I loved. There's so many from Black and White that were fantastic. But I can't remember their names because it's been so long since playing them.
I can't remember a single person's name from this game.
I can because her name was Tulip and she was the question I used and answered in Pokemon League. And if I didn't just do that only a couple of hours ago, I wouldn't remember. I remember Iono and I remember Larry. Larry is also an Elite Four member, which that was stupid. They brought a gym leader into the Elite Four and they made him change his team.
Different typing.
Yeah, it was lazy.
And none of the characters, for me personally, are memorable.
No, and you know who pisses me off the most? The child, Dolly, or whatever her fucking name is. I hate her.
Her part of the Elite Four. I mean,
you're like 2 years old and you're already an Elite Four member.
You're
How?
an Elite Four member.
Yeah.
Also, actually, I will say, I will take it back. There is one character that we both loved, and it was because he had... such a special story.
Yes, Arven.
Arven's
story was fantastic and so emotional, and because I think it tugged at our heartstrings because he's helping his dog Pokemon return back to full strength, and we just went through the stuff with Venus and getting her medicine to make sure she was better. So it really did tug at our heartstrings with that.
Yes,
and I would do anything for Venus, and I think Arven was the same. But everything else, like Team Star, they were bullied. It's kind of like someone stood up at Game Freak and went, let's make the gays, trademark the gays in this game and just remind them how much they were bullied in high school. Just to, touch on that, so then, that's what we want as our theme. Because, like, those Team Starfall characters were literally... they weren't straight. They weren't straight at all.
The story for that was...
it was
washed down. It was
really bad.
It was an afterthought. They needed a third sort of task for you to do for them to be able to have something... To
distract you.
Yeah.
So that you don't think the game was really that empty.
Which felt really watered down. None of the characters really were that fantastic.
I did like the design of the fairy one because I love to see a gay person in this, because clearly he's obviously gay. Like, there's no denying it. And then the last one, not the fighting. Was she the fighting?
She was the fighting.
Yeah, she was. Leader. She was cool, like the buff girl. She was great.
I definitely...
I didn't care for Penny.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, look, you got every evolution. Like, we all don't have that in other games. Like, do something. And she was the perfect one to introduce a new evolution to, and they just went, nah. We're not going to do that.
Yeah, I have no attachment to any of these people.
No.
I don't like any of them. I honestly also the person who is quite clearly the queer character, I also had no connection to. I think he just was extremely flamboyant, and I think that's great, and it's good. And again, we do need a lot more queer representation in the game, but at the same time, if you're going to do that, and there also has to be a backstory. There has to be.
You can't just touch on it. I know that the games are also designed for kids as well as much as they are for adults. You can't just touch on it. You either do it or don't.
Yeah, there has to be a backstory. There has to be, you look at games like Black and White where, there is such a character development for each person. There is such a motive for each character. There is no motives in this game. These characters just want to...
They're lifeless husks of what characters could be, in my opinion.
Yeah, which is sad to see.
It is.
For a company that makes so much money.
All right, let's stop being so negative.
Yeah.
We've been speaking for a while on the negativities. Let's talk about some positives of this game. Because we could talk for days about how negative it is, and we have been ever since we've been we picked it up, we've been playing, and we've just been talking about the negatives and the positives as well. But positively, I can just start off with most fun I've had in a Pokemon game forever because I've ignored all the negative stuff. I've done 2 parts of the story. I'm up to the last parts of 2 parts of the story as well, so I've just got to get through that. Alex is finished already. I think he's got the one who's got the most opinions, so let's just go back to Alex and let's see what he says.
I mean, look, I've been enjoying it too. I wouldn't have played anything for 65 hours if there wasn't enjoyment. The catching, as always, is great. I've been enjoying all the new Pokemon. There's actually been one of the really, really cool things about this generation is, and it's something that I will remember as opposed to the characters, is the actual designs. There's just been so many fantastic Pokemon designs this time around.
And then just the textures alone on all the old Pokemon, including the new ones, have been fantastic. And it's like I looked at Seviper and you can see his scales. Like, that is fantastic.
That's amazing. That's so cool. And just the other day we spent a couple of hours going to get these stakes out of the ground so we can
all together.
Yes,
we played Union Circle, and that was fantastic. They obviously put a lot of effort in to make that work, because the fact that we all had the same amount of frame drops, and that existed even outside of Union Circle. So when we were playing Union Circle and we had the same amount, it wasn't as jarring. So when we're playing that, it's a co-op version where you can go into each other's worlds apparently, but you can't. Your Pokemon, each Pokemon because each game has exclusives to it, and your opponent opposite, your co-op people can bring their exclusives into your world and vice versa, but you're not going into their world per se. And it ran super smoothly.
Great.
I was actually scared how smooth it ran.
But again, I don't think that's a surprise. That's what they worked on.
Yeah.
That's what they put their energy into. They knew that's...
Because Pokemon's always been about trading with friends, playing with friends, battling with friends. So this was perfect, and I'm glad it worked so well. So we'll investigate in the world. We'll follow Austin John Plays link. Was it Austin John Plays?
We went through with...
it was Botox Media's.
Botox Media.
Yeah, we followed his guide on how to where all the stakes were, and we just battled them all and everything. Alex was the last one to catch them all because he sucks at catching Pokemon. And
I was like, that last one,
lava fish.
We won't ruin too much, but that last one, that was just difficult. But I think that was really great. So we spent also go and watch Botox Media if you really enjoy pickups videos and also just general gaming stuff. He's really cool.
Yeah, he's an adorable little YouTuber.
Yes, he does really well, and he's not a massive channel, but big enough definitely to if you just really enjoy retro gaming as well. He's got some he really loves his 3DS. But we did that together. That was really fun. What else did we do?
We've been doing a lot of raids together.
Yeah, Terra raids as well. I've been doing a lot of those myself online. Doing a bit of the harder ones, the 5 and 6 star raids. They're fantastic. So it runs smoothly.
As smooth as it can be.
As smooth as it can be.
I've got a Pokeball just popping up in doorways and in the sandwich shop, and then in these raids as well. Just this Pokeball in the ground for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just there.
I was like, okay. That a lot, actually.
Yeah, I turn the game off and it disappears. But I'm like, okay. Whatever.
So that's been great. And what else has been really cool?
Just going back through old Pokemon, and then catching them and seeing their new textures, but also some of these new Pokemon are just really good. I love Tinkertong, the fairy with the hammer, who the backstory of her is she's a steel fairy and she kills steel birds that used to run the... Corviknight, who runs the taxi service in another game. And that's why Corviknight can't run the taxi service in this game, because they've got a predator here. That same predator also then takes on other steel type Pokemon. So Bisharp had to get an evolution and became King Gambit, and that was one of the best looking Pokemon I've ever seen in my life. Love him to death so much. Then you've got Primeape, who's got a new form. It's a ghost fighting type. There's just some really good things. And then you've got the Paradox forms, which they could have done so much more with those ones. The Pokedex mentions Magikarp's ancient past, and they were much stronger. And I'm like, so you could have done a past Magikarp. Hello, it's all there. So there's like, they had some stuff, and I'm wondering, because a lot of the forms were 2 forms, and they look like 2 of 3, and I'm wondering if the DLC is going to add some stuff, and this is or we're going to get like a comprehensive edition of the game, and this is going to have all the other stuff that was missing. It feels like that's the case, but we're going to have to pay for it, of course.
And that's one of the things that I've really struggled with, I think, with modern gaming, is that you're paying for a half-baked product for full price, and then you pay an extra $50, say equivalent to us, because our DLCs are always a lot more expensive when it comes to exchanging the money over to our currency. And then you're then getting a product that's now worked on for an extra year, which of course is going to look better because you're working off the base what you've got, and then you're putting the thing. I will say one thing about the future and the past Pokemon. They were great when it comes to designs, but the story that was done between that and the ending bit, which again we're not going to spoil because I'm sure a lot of people are still trying to get there, that was rushed. That's something that they worked on right at the end. I was saying to both our roommate Des and Ben, that was done. I almost feels like it was done literally a month prior to this game being sent out. Like they were sitting there hours and hours on end trying to get this done, because that last area is so empty and it's so buggy that I honestly don't even know how it runs sometimes. Like, it's
just supposed to be a dungeon though, where you just collect rare Pokemon. That's pretty much it. So I'm not too concerned about that when I get to it, because Yokai Watch, a brilliant game, did the same thing at the end. They just had a dungeon where you just roll around, and it just has a nice background, so it doesn't feel empty. But
Yokai Watch is a 3DS game, if anyone doesn't know, that is on a 3DS.
A creature capture game, as I like to call it. Yeah. So other positives, I do like some of the designs of the gym leaders. I don't like Iono. She's annoying as fuck. She can bugger off. I did like how a lot of characters, there was a lot of size positive characters as well, so that was great. Size in any shape or form. Bodybuilder to not bodybuilder, yeah. I did enjoy that.
Do you find any... who was one person that you found memorable? Can you think of any?
Besides Arvin.
Besides Arvin.
I would say Clive is memorable for the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
I like I like the home ec teacher, Mr. Saguro. I think that's his name. He was adorable. He's like this beefy guy who also loves feminine Pokemon like Jigglypuff, and he makes food. I really liked him, but getting to know him as the teacher as well. So that's something you need to do post game, Alex, is do the education side.
I haven't done
because
any of the classes.
we missed out that there's actually a quest line for the thing we were doing, that we were hunting down those rare Pokemon. And if we actually did the school part, we would actually know that.
Yeah.
So when they said this game is open to play how you want, they literally meant it.
Yeah.
Very sandboxy.
Overall, I think what's there when it comes to the meat and potatoes, if you're going to call it that, there is a lot there. The catching was fun. Getting the Pokedex done was fun. Battling as always is fun. I have to admit that the battling other trainers has taken a back seat.
I didn't really care to do it because you don't need to. You didn't need to do it. You can just go to raids and level up these days.
Yeah, so that.
And I think they knew that. I think they knew that as well, that people will be doing that, and they just went, well, every trainer literally has one Pokemon out in the wild, and they're there if you want to battle them. They don't even force you to battle anymore. They just make you can choose.
I don't think,
which is great for consent.
Yeah, I don't think that's an afterthought. I think that was again a time constraint thing. I don't think that they had enough time to actually flash that out. Just like the storylines, they just did not have the time. The difference between releasing a game like two mainline titles, because Arceus is still definitely, in my opinion, a mainline title game because you're still doing what you're normally doing in a main title, except you didn't have gyms.
It's also winning awards.
Yeah.
So it must be good.
Yeah, but you're releasing games way too close, and I think what's happening is there's an overlap and a burnout.
Yeah, there is. They're not giving enough development time. Like Xenoblade is a comparison. It had 5-year development and it looks fantastic on a Switch and runs perfectly fine. Pokemon had, they say 3, but I laugh. It might have been making in the conception phase, the first couple of years, it was 2 years development tops.
At the end of the day,
absolute tops.
Yeah, look. At the end of the day, there was a lot there that we talked about that was good. You know, like the gameplay.
There's more
still
that
great.
there's tons
it's
more. There's tons more that are good about the game.
Yeah,
the rides are great. Like doing the Titans, that were fun. That was actually a mini boss. Pokemon's not meant to be a hard game though. If you want a hard game like that, play Temtem because that's crazy hard comparatively.
Not that I've played Temtem, but I've heard from you guys.
Yes, it's a lot. It's a lot harder and unforgiving. Pokemon is very forgiving, hand-holding, but there is a competitive side to it, and I'm going to try my hand at doing some more competitive side stuff with it because I want to experience that because I never have. So I've got some friends who are trying to teach me how to do it, and we'll see how I go. We did have a mock battle in Sword and Shield before Pokemon came out.
And I lost.
And he lost. You lost because I stole your hyper-trained
You did.
Gardevoir and used it against you.
That's actually, you brought up a really good good thing there about the Titans. I didn't actually mention that. That was really enjoyable. It kind of took me back to the Sun and Moon era of the sort of like the tests, the trials that they did in those games.
The totem Pokemon.
Yes. Yeah.
Was perfected in Ultra Sun and Moon, but the Titans were I wish there was more, but I guess it needed only, you had 4 HM Herbamysticas, which are HMs, and you unlocked abilities with your ride as you went through. That's already been out there, so I don't care about spoiling that. It was great, a good way to introduce the new abilities for your ride, a new way to introduce certain Pokemon, and they were cool as well because they were giant Pokemon bosses that you had to battle. So for once they finally did these boss Pokemon again, which is in a better way though. I really enjoyed it.
It's something that they also definitely did not market well though, because they did sort of market it in a way where it was, well, you can just go anywhere you want, and it kind of can't.
No, you can't, because you need to obviously
Yeah.
do certain path bits, and if you can't get to one of the gyms without doing a certain number of Titans. So you guess you can, but you're going to be blocked off in certain areas.
And none of it was level scaled. So if you went on a path and you leveled yourself up, like I went and did terror raids in the middle of doing this stuff, I was way beyond the level I should have been in all the places.
So was I, but I think
it was no challenge.
Xenoblade is not level scaled technically either, because you can just walk into an area and there's a level 80 giant thing. I've done that many times in Xenoblade 3. So
yeah. But,
I think people's expectations of that was silly. The gyms should have been level scaled if you could do any gym you want. Yes. But anything else out there? No, I feel.
Yeah, and in looking at Xenoblade, if we're going to do comparisons, that game actually has a strategic gameplay where you have to know what you're doing, your buffs, debuffs, who are you actually going to make sure who's healing, who's doing this. So it is a different game. But look, at the end of the day,
because Pokemon is just literally a one-character RPG. But you've got 6 Pokemon, but it's literally a one-character RPG against another one-character RPG kind of battle style. You just use type advantages, type disadvantages, and see what happens.
And it was nice not to see the rival being a whiny kid who needs your approval half the time.
It was nice to have Nimona, who was very kind of your cheerleader in the side. Like, she was terrible. Like, I don't know how she became champion if you're destroying her easily. But anyway, that's just a different topic. Like, how do these people get in their stories, and realistically, if you're looking at a fictional work in realism, how did she become a champion? How did that person become the Elite Four when I just decimated them? It just made no sense. But it had to make it. They made it as believable as they could. It's Pokemon after all. Well, we've been talking for 39 minutes on Pokemon.
Yeah,
we could talk all day.
What's your final score? What would you give it?
I would give it a 7 out of 10, just because of the terror raids and the story.
I've definitely changed my mind. I was going to give it 7 originally, but I think it's about a 6.5 for me. And the reason, and I know that seems like really harsh because I have played 65 hours, and you would think like,
well, that's 65, 6.5.
yeah, you would think like, it should be a lot higher, but unfortunately, I think companies need to be held accountable for these issues, and this game has a lot of them. A 5-year-old game compared to a game that's just been released last week should perform and look better. I think companies, what they do, and just in every sort of is a PlayStation 5, Xbox, they look at other companies and they look what's good, and they try to sort of incorporate their own flavor, but also trying to make sure that the game looks current gen at least. And this game at times does not look current gen, and not even for Switch's life cycle. I feel like we're getting to the end of it. I feel like there's going to be another year or so, and then the Switch will get an upgrade. There's no denying that. But I think 6.5 for me right now. I'm hoping that they really listen to the people who have had a bit of a issue with what's happening to them.
We know that the B team who made Arceus are obviously working on another game, because that's been rumoured, but then they're also working on the DLC, so there's things coming for this game that's always going to be improved. But what they need to do is not forget that games need to have constant improvement patches to make it run better. So let's hope it's all good.
And they're so lucky that they have Terror Raids. It is the thing that makes me keep coming back. It's fun. And I think the reason why that is because it's fluid. It's quick. It's a nice little battle that you can do with a couple of people, apart from people who don't know any typing. Oh my god, you people that don't know the difference between fire and steel, please go and look it up before you start doing a Terror Raid.
It's all there. It's all there for you to look up. All right, I think that's enough.
Yeah.
I think that's enough to talking about Pokemon for today. Because I want to finish the game tonight.
Yeah.
All right. So, Alex, do you want to thank anyone else before we say goodbye, or do you want to just let people know what games you've picked up recently? Anything at all?
So I have picked up a lot of 3DS games recently. Before the eShop closes.
Should I bring my eBay receipts up?
Before the year, there's going to be a closure again. If you don't know, there's going to be a closure of the eShop at the beginning of the year. I can't remember the exact date, but it's happening soon. It's going to be a lot sooner than later. So I've been buying a lot of 3DS games that I sort of don't want to pay even more than I should.
Yeah, so I can list them out for you now. So we just bought Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity.
Yes.
Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon. These are all 3DS games, by the way. Mario and Luigi Paper Jam Bros. Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer. We never got that, so that was really cool to get, because I really did want to have that at one point. Triforce Hero, The Legend of Zelda. I got myself a Gengar Hori grip controller fit.
Yes.
So can't wait to get that on Wednesday.
To get that.
I am very excited. Alex got the Pikachu and Mimikyu one.
I did, yes.
I've been feeling it up and it's feeling great.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. We got WarioWare Gold, Darksiders 2 on PlayStation 4, Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, and Bowser Jr.'s Journey. Never heard of these games until Alex picked them up. Sonic Generation. Professor Layton and the Miracle Mask. We picked up a copy of Sun and Moon because we did trade those originally after we got our own Ultra Sun and Moon. So we needed to get a recopy of it.
Yes. Thank you for the amazing deal to the person on eBay. Yes. That was amazing for those two. Very happy with that.
I won't say go to them because I don't want you to take my games away from me when I'm getting it from. But Retro Hunt on eBay is really good. Mario and Luigi Dream Team Bros. That's the one I've never heard of until now. Kid Icarus, that I think we talked about that last time, didn't we?
Yeah, so there was a couple of games there, but yeah, we've gotten a lot of 3DS games recently, and I think it's because we even bought a 3DS recently just to have a spare, just in case anything happens. But I just want to quickly say I have been playing God of War. We did stop because we wanted to get through Pokemon, and all I'm going to say is in the first, I think, 5 minutes, I've never cried so much in an opening of a game in my life. It was so emotional.
Yes, I can't wait to play it too. I think we'll keep that for the next episode.
Yes, definitely will.
We've got a few things to discuss next episode. The Game
Yes.
Awards are out, and I'm going to
Yes.
touch base on a game that, speaking of emotional games, that I finished this year, and it did bring me to tears multiple times as well. So, looking forward to discussing and talking to you guys about that soon. So, I have got no one else to thank, because I've basically been isolated.
Well, thank you for everyone who's been listening to us, though.
Exactly.
We really appreciate it.
We do appreciate it. We'll try to keep our schedule a bit better, but whatever. We'll try our best.
We'll definitely have the next episode a lot earlier this time, because I have Monday, Tuesday away from work, which will be nice, and we can record another episode. So we'll definitely have another episode a lot sooner than this time. But life is
two recordings on Tuesday.
Maybe, yeah.
There's something else I can't say, but people I know, they'll be excited. But yeah. All right. I think that's enough for the day. A lot of Pokemon stuff. I'm going to go quickly and finish the rest of it so I can then put it aside and never look at it again for 6 months.
until the DLC.
Until the DLC. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
See you later.
Bye.